Today I'm gonna review the LSZ-1 by Sailrite. Is this thing worth the money? I'm gonna give it hell. I'm gonna run this thing through the ringer, and I'll let you decide if the juice is worth the squeeze. There have been plenty of YouTube videos, especially by Sailrite, about this machine. For me, I'm more interested not in whether it can sew well, but what are its limitations. You have to think of the low-end limitations and the high-end limitations. Example, low end. This is 200 denier fabric. Can you sew through 2 layers of this without a problem? That means the tension's gotta be tight. Your stitches have to look good, and the machine isn't going to pucker it to death. Now, when you're thinking about the top end limitations, a couple things come to mind. Some shell cordovan leather, very dense horse butt, plastic. This can be a very popular core. Let's say you have plastic, foam on both sides, and then 200D fabric. But can this machine do plastic? So the first material I want to do is the shell cordovan. 2 layers. Each layer is 3.5 millimeters thick, so total is gonna give us 7 millimeters, which is sub 3/8 of an inch, but not by much. I am using a size 18 needle because I'm using Tech 70 thread. So here I'm gonna sew through this shell cordovan. This is sewing really well. You want to turn material when the needle's starting to come up. That ensures that the hook has grabbed the thread. I really like the mixture of the worker bee and the monster wheel. It reminds me of just a torque reducer on a industrial sewing machine, because I can slightly press on the needle to get it exactly where I need and then turn it. It's less of a kind of a manual hand done thing on the wheel, and then I can just turn the speed back up. As far as machines go, I really like this one because of this control. And now I think something that might be interesting, or thinking about density, is maybe grabbing a piece of plastic. We can't put another piece of leather because the height of the foot won't allow us, but can we sew through this and plastic? Like butter. So we're gonna get a little bit crazier. I really want to push this thing to its limits. The thing that I would be concerned about is the thread tearing. It looks like we have some missed stitches, but you know that's probably because of the material height. So I'm going to take this out now. Oh, that's exactly it. This is 9.5 millimeters. Now that added piece puts us at 11, which is over 0.4 inches. 3/8 of an inch is 0.375, so we're already over 0.4 inches. Here's the thing, shell cordovan with plastic, that's pretty awesome. It's capable. I would just say your limitation needs to be 3/8 of an inch. All right, so this thicker foam, ooh, that's actually 11 millimeters. You know what? We're pushing limits, right? Okay, so this is 11 millimeter foam with 200D and 200D. Now, the first few stitches were great, but we're missing stitches. Now again, missing stitches is because we're at over 3/8 of an inch, and this is really messing with the hook timing. So 11 millimeter foam, don't do it. Another important simulation, in my opinion, is going to be a plastic core, foam on either side of it, fabric wrapping it, and binding. So let me get my binding attachment on. Son of a bitch. That is all my needles. I think this is one of those times you just have to subscribe out of pure enjoying my misery. Man, putting on attachments is such a pain in the tush. Okay. Sailrite, just a couple suggestions. I want to wind the bobbin while I'm sewing. I want thumb screws for attachments, and I want your needle cases to be full cases. So when I drop my needles, they are not all over my living room floor. So this stack up here, 8.5 millimeters. It does fit through the binding attachment, so I mean, let's just see what happens, right? What's the worst that could happen? So I need to get the needle up. I have it in the center position. I'm actually gonna put it in the right position. Something I've noticed is just not being able to use the center position with the binding attachment. Another qualm with the binding attachment is actually the access. It has this kind of J. I need a straight access, kind of like a C attachment would have. Okay, so this didn't even sew through all the materials. Now, what I find is actually the binding attachment where you can only really do soft materials, not a harder material like this plastic in there. And that is an issue for me. This angle here doesn't allow you to put your material straight through. It kind of bows it, so it's coming in at an angle, which is fine when you're doing soft things, but when you're doing a rigid piece, not so great. So I would say this kind of stack up is not going to work with this binding attachment. That's where I'd go to like Atlanta attachments, Tennessee attachments, let them know you have the LSZ-1, let them know what your material stack up goal is, and they can make you a really great binding attachment. Really, as far as the top end limitations, I think this cordovan leather with that plastic was a really good representation. I think we should just focus on the 200D fabric. So that being said, probably want to run it down to a Tex 45, or I'm not sure what the comparables are for like a Mara 50 or a Mara 70. Let me Google that real quick. I get my Mara thread from Ripstop by the Roll. I love those guys. So their Mara 70 is a Tex 40. Now I actually have Mara 70 right here. Nice reminder that when you're going to a much different thread, you're gonna want to reset your tension. I made a video years ago on how to do bobbin tension, so go check that out. Now, 2 layers, rather simple, of 200D. Total thickness, 0.5 millimeter. So far it's looking pretty darn good. Wow, that looks really good. Tension is good, stitch is good. Honestly, this is really surprising to me that this kind of machine is built to go down to that lower range. I mean, you can run more than 2 layers. I'm actually really impressed. So the presser foot pressure is adjustable. You want to push it down for really grabbing materials, thicker, heavier, denser, and you want to pull it up if you're doing lighter materials. This does a really good job of feeding the top and the bottom fabric at the same rate, and that's really what this pressure foot tension is for. A lot of times you'll jump on a sewing machine and unbeknownst to you, the top is feeding faster than the bottom, or vice versa, and what you get is kind of this curve. After you sew, it's kind of curving because it's sewing the layers at different rates. This has no curve, very minimal puckering. For the sake of it, I'm gonna run through this 30 denier ripstop fabric. Honestly, I thought that 200D was gonna be the bottom end limitation. Or if it is, we need to confirm that. Total thickness is gonna be, yeah, like 1/4 millimeter. This one you can see there's a lot more puckering going on. I think with adjustments of the presser foot tension, 30D is not out of the question. Okay, we did a few use cases and I'm just gonna recap them. We have our top end. We started with the cordovan leather with plastic below 3/8 of an inch. It did the sewing, no problem. Now, binding attachment on this material makeup. The problem was the binding attachment has this curve, so you don't get to insert your materials perfectly straight into. I will be able to do binding on this machine, but honestly, it's just a disappointment because in my opinion, it's not the best binding attachment that you could have. Now, if we go to the lower end, 200 denier, stacked, just 2 layers, absolutely perfect with a Tex 40 and a size 14 needle. Moving down to the 30 denier, does a really good job. There is puckering. Can that be fixed with presser foot adjustment or swapping out the feed dog and the foot with a different one? I have faith. The thing is, it sews it and it sews it very well. Overall, when I think about this machine in my arsenal, I think of it as a must-have, especially for someone like me that likes to do things like upholstery, who makes gear, bags. This machine to me is the epitome of the home machine that I want. Now, before we bounce, I'll just go over the general overview of this machine. It comes in a case, heavy duty. I've got the monster wheel. The standard wheel comes on the machine with the Super Bee. The monster wheel is an upgrade. What it does is it slows down the speed of your stitches. This is the standard wheel. You see the belt goes right there. It goes around this smaller circumference. On the monster wheel, it goes around the full circumference, and that makes it go slower, gives it a lot more torque. The worker bee is now built into the LSZ and the LS, so you will get a worker bee. I love the control. I could do all my process without touching the wheel. I just had to use my foot and adjust the speed setting. LSZ comes with a zigzag. That's what the Z stands for, zigzag. The LS doesn't. I love having the zigzag so that I can sew stretch materials. Their stitch length plate is really nice. You have top and bottom stops, makes it fully adjustable. Their feet that they come with, really great, welting, standard. They've got a knurled standard foot. They've got the completely smooth one for leather work. The full build quality of this thing is an industrial machine. It's all made of metal. Now, speaking just about Sailrite in general, from what I can tell, I haven't interacted with them much, but they have a ton of online videos, lots of resources to learn what it is that you need to. And then even when you get the machine, it came with this book, this guidebook. Now, this seems silly, but this guidebook is full of really great photography, really great instructions, really great diagrams of loop points about how to thread your bobbin, how to thread your machine, how to fix your hook if it has burrs on it. These are all things that took me years to learn when I was learning on my own. And the fact that they just have it in a book that is going to set you apart already from not knowing anything about sewing, or maybe you have a really good understanding, to you're gonna have a great understanding. So I think that their resources, their guidebook, it just tells me that their customer service is top notch. So do I recommend this machine? Do I think the juice is worth the squeeze? Absolutely, no questions about it. This thing's dope. I'm super glad to have it in my arsenal, and I'll be using it a lot. In an upcoming video, I'm going to give away a free pattern and do a sew along video. But here's my question. What kind of bag do you want me to do? Tote, duffel, backpack? Put in the comment which one you want me to do. I'm leaning in a direction, but I want to make sure that you guys are getting what you're looking for. And also, if you want to see that video when it drops, be sure to subscribe. Until next time, adios.